Hello and welcome to this episode of Comscast by Media Brief, powered by AdFactors PR. I am Noman Qureshi, and today we have with us Shweta Munjal, who is with Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, which is a 1.6 billion pharmaceutical company from India with operations across multiple countries. So, Shweta, very delighted to have you with us, and we look forward to a good conversation which has a lot of learnings for the people who are listening to our podcast. So, welcome.
Thank you, Noman. Imagine while we were just discussing this Monday about doing podcast to being part of the show and, doing it with you. What a pleasure it is. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I would ask Shweta to introduce herself in 1 minute rather than me going over because it could stretch into minutes.
Well, I've not done enough to say for a minute, but I'll quickly introduce myself. 2+ decades of communications experience. I think I have risen from, working with the sunrise sector when I started in 2002 with NASSCOM, which is technology industry. Worked with Yahoo in my formative years, Intuit, etc. Then moved into different industries. I actually worked with FMCG, which is Cadbury, turned into Mondelez, etc. Then Thomson Reuters, oil and gas, which is Nayara Energy, Lupin, and now Glenmark. So I've done varied industries, and I'm very proud of the journey. I've actually seen how communications has evolved, right? I was also gladly part of the first internet company, which is Yahoo. So I saw tech transformation from what it started to where we are, the journey that we are in now, right? From being part of the journey to being users, right? Pharma is now a use case for tech industry. So yeah, I think it's very interesting journey.
So Shweta, you have worked with two industries. One is IT and the other one is pharma, which really have taken India on a global stage. What are some cross-cultural learnings or cross-industry learnings that you see which would be of help to PR professionals?
So I think IT is very fast-paced, right? I think switch back. One of the things as reputation managers for us is the quiet play of building reputation, right? Today, everyone speaks of the digital world, but it's the cloud infrastructure that powered the digital world that we operate in. In pharmaceutical or healthcare, it's powered by a long journey of how the molecule starts, the scientists, the work of, the unglamorous work of scientists, etc., right? So truly a quiet journey of, how you build reputation, right? I think that speaks a lot about, a press release, a media statement, all this is a build-up. So you have to truly know and work on your narratives. As they say, narratives are built before you actually get headlines, right? So I think these two industries truly showcase that. Most important, I think the other area that I see is it's very important to, we live in a very evolving world in these two industries that I worked with. Crisis is part of, sad but unfortunate part of the overall, dynamics of how we operate. I think one of the things that we have to do is, take crisis. Well, everyone speaks of being proactive, have a crisis dossier, etc. But, it's okay to be vulnerable. I think that's what I've learned over a period of time to, instantly crisis, react and, put a statement out. No, you've got to make your stakeholders aligned. You have to be part of the journey. You have to think through. And with, I think the best part is use tech to enable it, right? And I would just say these two things truly stand out for me. And
So earlier we had this idea of crisis preparedness, but a lot of academicians in the recent past have spoken about crisis readiness as an idea.
Yeah.
Because like you said, preparedness, documents, protocols can be in place. Readiness is that mindset
True.
to align the whole organization and work towards crisis.
So, Noman, actually, one of the things that, as communications, we have to evolve is how do you actually build stakeholder management, right? It's not an interplay between you and the, leadership. You have to work with different, personas in the organization. So, for example, the reputation dossier that I have prepared now to a dossier that I prepared a decade back, like it's starkly different. That was crisis that has happened and these are the statements. So it's a collation of what has happened. The crisis dossier that I have now is actually anticipated. So I work with the CRO. I sit with the legal team. I sit with
CRO
the
would be the
compliance-
research guy.
Sorry, my bad. The risk officer.
Okay.
I sit with the risk officer, which is the CFO, the legal team, compliance team. So we call it the MLR, which is the medical affairs team, the legal team, regulatory team. What are some of the things that you have or you anticipate in the industry that you know? I'm a generalist, but they are truly in this vertical. So they actually help me identify organizations of our size, scale, and the kind of work that we do. What are some of these things, can happen? Today, I have 67, and I'm sorry numbering it because I just finalized that crisis dossier. These are anticipated crisis situations that can happen. So our readiness is not just a statement. It's actually how do you reach out to different stakeholders. Today, when I actually look at crisis, I sit, I'm ready to, partner with the CFO and say, how are we going to address the investor relations team or the investor community, financial institutions, employees, and of course, media, that, we work on. So various facets of not just stakeholders that you work within the organization, but you have to keep personas of who you have as an organization to address.
So you have a background in technology, and today everybody is talking about AI as the in thing. And I remembered CIPR UK, which is a body of PR professionals, came out with a report which is titled "Humans Needed More"
Yeah,
for
I
AI.
agree.
So what's your view on AI and the impact on our work?
When I actually interview a few people, sadly, even now, some of them, AI is writing content for them, right? Well, you have to, shake yourself and understand the beauty that AI complements in your work, right? The dossier that I spoke of, right? The crisis dossier. There are a lot of things that your medical, legal, and regulatory team can speak of. But there are a lot of, crises that you may not, fathom. I actually take help of AI tools to help me see, have I actually inbuilt those into, well, I don't think a MLR team, I'm just saying, MLR team of any pharmaceutical company predicted a COVID would hit, right?
So that's very interesting. But you mentioned about areas like crisis where AI is happening. What are some of the other areas that you see AI supporting you?
Noman, I work on global communications and I actually take a lot of your, knowledge and, you worked in that, area also. One of the things that I really use AI is not just to, for us working in global communications is not just knowing the cultural nuances, which is their international holidays or their festivals, etc. It's also to understand the, the diplomacy part of it, For example, for me, AI helps me understand the kind of messaging that I'm developing, right? That, you and I worked on, a particular message, right? Does it fit in a European, audience? Does it fit in the US, the North America, the Canadians, etc.? That's where AI really helps in support, right?
Since you mentioned about global communications that you manage and you work across time zones, give us some tips on time management and cultural nuances. You did mention, but are there some other finer nuances that people should know?
I think I'll tell you one thing which is very important. A lot of people say global communications is all about localizing and done dusted, right? Trust me, that's just one part of the story. For me, understanding the audience, for example, decision making, it's usually starkly different when you work with a culture like, for example, Japan. They're very consultative in their approach, right? Decision making there is consultative. You have to, bring them into the conversation. Flashback, you go to US. I'm sure you've learned, you've seen them. US, east side of US is very different on decision making to the, west coast of, and similarly European. Like, I'll tell you what, time management is another very important, thing. It's okay for Asians to stretch themselves and do a late evening calls like we do, right? However, if I do it in some parts of Europe, they actually consider it as disregard of their work-life balance, right? So I think it's very important.
So work-life balance, I think here also is quite under discussion. you have worked with consultancies, you work in India with consultancies, you have worked globally. What is it that makes a very good client consultancy relationship? What are some of the ingredients in that relationship?
When I work with partners, I call it's a partnership approach, right? Forget everything. Let's just look at working with Adfactors and you in particular. You're my first port of call for good, bad, ugly, right? That's the level of trust partnership we've built in, right? You know, there was a time when there was a crisis and I was in a different time zone, etc. I know I could just pick up the phone on Noman and say, can you just fill in for me?
And I also have to say that you were in a different time zone. Before catching the flight, you sent a message. You landed in India, reached office, and then late in the evening, you were on the calls. We were dealing with a crisis. So I think that energy level is required in the profession.
You know, in my IT industry, I remember there's a saying called follow the sun approach. In a crisis, follow the sun, moon, stars, right? So I think wherever I was, you know, the beauty of the entire relationship between us was the trust, the transparency that we have, you know, you've built in. I think it's about, you know, for me, it's very important how much the agency is owning, you know, so I'm not just a client for you. You own the, you know, entire, you feel, you know, for it, right? You are in it with me in this journey, and that's what makes a whole lot of difference.
My boss always says that strategy means knowing what not to do. So what is an agency or a partner you would not pick? I think that is also important.
If you don't own, you know, everyday conversations with me, you know, beyond the weekly catch-ups, etc., then you're not in for it, right? Then we need to flash, you know, kind of switch back. And this is exactly what I do with my global agencies also, right? If you are not invested in my, you know, business as much as, and I don't say invested as much as an employee is, but if you don't feel for it and if you don't own it, then I think, you know, it's just a transactional. We have to go beyond the transaction and, you know, look at
So
it.
Shweta, you have also worked on areas like ESG and integrated reports for quite some time. And I know you have worked with some of the big consulting firms. What are some of important areas that communication people should know about ESG? Because, you know, it's all over the place. But what are some of the bits that people should know?
So can I tweak the question and answer it differently? I think comms professionals have to be very agile into learning different facets of, you know, their own, building their skill sets, right? ESG became a very different, or rather a very later part of my learning. I'm actually a values and culture coach. You know, I also did last year a international mediation certification. I'm not a lawyer, but I wanted to learn mediation skills because it truly helps me understand how to do difficult stakeholder conversations. And that's so important for us as an industry. Coming to your question on ESG, I think our narratives, irrespective of the industry that, you know, we work with, everyone's coming down to sustainability or the ESG metrics that, you know, even the world is looking up to, right? What I did was thankfully, you know, I raised my hand and I actually said to the management, I'm going to, you know, partner with you and take this journey, you know, on ESG with the company. And I started with a rating of, in one of the organizations, started with a rating of DJSI as 17 to taking them till my last day at 69, right? In just about 3 years, right? To now. I think one of the things that we have to learn as comms professionals is ESG data maybe just numbers, go beyond the numbers. As reputation managers, we have to look at, you know, a larger play of things. Look at, you know, narrative beyond.
So Shweta, any examples of good ESG practices or reporting that comes to your mind?
You know, data insights from ESG, which are documented in integrated reports, when actually taken as part of narratives, are beautifully done by various organizations across the globe. What comes to my mind at this point is Unilever. You know, they absolutely lead the whole conversation on sustainability. And when they take their sustainable goals into communication narrative, like actually saying sustainable living across their platform, it's lovely, right? As reputation managers, it is brilliant when your business strategy is aligned with, you know, how you're building trust with your stakeholders across.
So, Shweta, you spoke about business strategy, and we all know that the digital landscape is changing. So, what are the changing dynamics about reputation that the younger generation should be aware about? You spoke about skills, agility. So, what are some of the things that you should learn or look forward to?
I think rather than looking forward, you have to first, within you get that, like I always say, you've got to be agile, you've got to be accountable, you have to learn to own up, right? My career journey, I actually look at myself as an entrepreneur, right? I own up the, function and I go beyond the JD, right? The job description. I think that's something that fuels me, keeps me alive. I'm ready to come to work every day because there's a new thing that I, have to learn. I'm talking to a lot of people, etc. The best part is, look for mentors, look for guidance, and irrespective of, wherever in the organization, inside, outside, you have, on a personal level on how to, there are a lot of personal situations that you come across while you're in your professional journey. There's a colleague of mine who actually tells me, I just look at her and I absorb, her approach to life, how she's, navigating her personal, situations.
And she's a person junior to you in the organization.
Yes.
So, this is reverse mentoring.
It's reverse mentoring. So how does it matter? As long as you have a learning mindset, it just does not matter, right?
What are some of the habits you will not leave even after 2 decades?
Uh,
Like one habit I have is reading newspapers in the morning. So I will not leave it.
One habit that I have, which which I really like, is waking up early, clearing my mind of all the clutter, right? So I'm a 4:30 a.m. person. Me time that I get from, 4:30 to about 6:30 is so precious, and I'll continue to own it and, keep it with me.
How does it help you in your work?
Numan, we like it or not, irrespective of whichever role we are playing, there's, when you have to start looking inwards, you answer a lot of your fears, your doubts in your mind. That time which I have, from 4:30 to 6:30 is the time where I actually do my workout also, uncluttered, in my mind. I'm not worried about deadlines, etc. I'm not worried about, I have to reply to this email or that email. What I am answerable to is myself,
Shweta, you did speak about me time and the habits that you will not change. What do you do for your knowledge enhancement all the time? Like for me, I know my learning style is listening. So I attend more events. So, I get more information there. What's your learning style and what do you do for your knowledge enhancement?
You also read books a lot, right? I think, Numan, what I do is, like you have listening in conferences, when I'm doing my early morning walks, etc., I'm actually listening to a podcast. I don't listen to music. I use that time to hear, right from management styles to what's happening, how is reputation, and, a lot of people are reputation managers. While we say as communications, there are a lot of other personas also who are actually managing reputation. How are they leveraging? How are they using, kind of building reputation, etc. So, different facets of, I also listen to, people who've struggled and actually excelled in Bollywood, to entrepreneurs in India.
You are listening to Comscast by Media Brief, powered by Adfactors, and we have Shweta Munjal with us, speaking on reputation dynamics, and we are focusing on healthcare and other topics generally. So Shweta, we were talking about knowledge enhancement as an idea. So you did speak about, what kind of activities you do, but who are some of the business leaders that you look up to in terms of communication, who are an inspiration, reputation builders for their organization?
I think the entrepreneurs of this generation actually are amazing reputation builders. Dipender Goyal, right? I think how he's building the entire facet or the entire narrative for the organization, right from building employer brand to taking, trajectory on how do you actually look at competition and not even call it competition. So I think there's a lot of lessons to learn from there. In our industry, Madan Bahel is a classic example. Rajesh Chaturvedi. And I truly believe these are, doings in the industry who've actually taught people across generations on how to lead, communications, how to actually be reputation managers.
So, as a last question, what are some of the learning tips you would like to give to the young PR professionals? What is it that they should pick up? We are talking about ESG, we are talking about AI, we are talking about how digital is changing reputation. So, if we take reputation as an idea, what are the things that people should build that would help them, be reputation builders for their organization or drivers for their organizations?
So if you're actually looking at drivers, it's very important to have a learning mindset. Learn about the organization, learn about your stakeholders. You should know who are the people who are, who are running the show, what is it that, they're doing, etc. Knowing your business is very, very important. Knowing your ecosystem is equally important, right? I think we've practically learned if you stick to inside, you'll only know the inside story. You have to learn it from, outside influences too. Talk to people outside. You have the whole world, to look at. I go speak to customers, I go speak to doctors, I go speak to influencers in the industry, etc. I speak to media, beyond when I'm pitching, etc. To learn what is it that, we have to
So, I was having a conversation with a social scientist to say, and he was saying that with social media, now we are moving from individualism to loneliness as an idea. And I think in healthcare also, that is one of the big areas that is emerging. Is there a role that communication professionals can play there? Because, social media is in that sense isolating people from the outside world. And you spoke about understanding the ecosystem. What is it that comms people should be doing so they are not isolated from, public opinion as an idea?
So I think a lot of people, when we do internal communications, people, come and give ideas, reels is in, let's just do short videos inside. You have to understand our audience are already cluttered with looking at, our social media tools on, a lot of reels, etc. Get personalized, get them to see people, meet people, create platforms where they can actually interact with them. So as communications, personalization is very, very important. And, in our case, what we do is we actually create platforms for people to go meet face to face rather than, behind a mobile screen or a laptop screen, sir.
So, Shweta, we spoke about how reputation dynamics are changing, and if as a client you were to look at consultancy partnerships as well, what are some of the areas and especially knowledge that you would recommend younger generation should pick up in terms of reputation building? So what are your recommendations? Any book that you would want to recommend or any literature?
So I think there's tremendous resources available. There are definitely books. You can do audiobooks, etc. There's a beautiful book, Crisis, Issues and Reputation Management by CIPR. I highly recommend, not just this generation, people who are entering the industry or want to enter the industry and who've been, existing reputational practitioners to definitely read, enhancing your knowledge is very important, right?
Sure. So that was Shweta Munjal on Comcast by Media Brief, powered by Adfactors PR. And I hope all of you enjoyed this session and look forward to having you on another episode of Comcast, powered by Adfactors PR. Thank you. This is Noman Qureshi signing off.